Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I am going to be trying on some of the summer collection from COS. Now, in my opinion, COS is having a very strong season. It's one of those brands that has a very particular aesthetic to it, and sometimes it can be a little bit too edgy for me. However, this season I think they've got the balance just right. So today I'm going to be trying on some really nice wearable pieces. Right, so the first item that I'm going to try on is this t-shirt dress. So this comes in at £75. The fabric composition is 70% cotton and 30% linen. It comes in two different colours. This one that is described online as brown, but I would say it's more of like an ochre colour because it definitely has that sort of little bit of sludgy, greeny sort of mustard shade in there as well. And then it also comes in a black stripe. Both colours very wearable, very versatile, especially if, like me, you have quite a neutral and, shall we say, minimal wardrobe where things are very sort of cohesive with one another. So the first thing I will say is that it is quite a loose fit. Now this for me is very much a positive. I think t-shirt dresses should fit this way. Firstly, because of comfort, especially when it is hot, the summer months, you want to be comfortable and have something that's looser fitting, something where air can circulate around the skin is always a bonus. Secondly, I just think it looks a little bit more elegant and a little bit more chic, especially when there are fabrics that aren't clinging to the body. Now, with a looser fit, you also get that kind of ability to be able to disguise or maybe just personally feel a little bit more comfortable in your own skin when it comes to maybe some areas you might have a little bit of a self-confidence issue with. So for me, for example, there are some days where I have a bit of bloating, and I've mentioned this time after time. And so on occasion, I do need a dress that's going to be a little bit looser fitting, where I can feel a little bit more confident if I am having one of those bloating days. However, this particular t-shirt dress, whilst I absolutely adore this colour, £75 for me is quite a lot when, and I've shared this with you guys before, I'm wearing one now. This is the H&M long t-shirt dress, which is not the exact same fabric, but it is a very nice fabric. It's actually less sheer than this COS one. And this is only £19.99 and comes in 5 colours. I think if this t-shirt dress didn't exist, I would probably be all over this. And don't get me wrong, I love this, I can't fault it. I just think because this exists, the price difference, if I were to recommend one to you guys, it would probably be this in terms of value for money. Okay, moving on to my next piece, and it is this batwing t-shirt which comes in at £45. So this is available in 2 colours, in black and also in white. Both very wearable, core colours, easy to integrate into any wardrobe, whether you like a bit of colour or whether, like me, you're a little bit more pared back in the colour area. And this is actually a very oversized fit. So that's the one thing that I will really stress, because I'm a UK size 10 and I would normally go for, in anything that's sort of size small, medium, large, etc., I would normally go for somewhere in between a small and a medium. Sometimes I try both sizes on and see which I prefer depending on my desired fit. This is an extra small / small and it is still huge. And this is a prime example of what COS does very well, and that is creating something that's actually quite basic, but just giving it that little COS twist. So this is essentially just a basic t-shirt, but because of the way that it's cut, it has this bat wing, and when you have it on, it just drapes beautifully. So if you're after perhaps something, a t-shirt, a basic that you could dress up a little bit more, or even, dare I say, and I haven't ever worked in an office, but depending on your workwear sort of uniform or any workwear rules that you may have, I think this could actually be a basic that could be styled up in a slightly more formal way. Okay, moving on. And next up, we're moving on to some bottoms. My first pair of bottoms. These are some tailored linen shorts, and these come in at £55. Now, these are available in 4 different colours, and there are some coordinating items to go with these as well, so that you can create kind of like a co-ord set. In terms of fabric composition, they are 100% linen and they are fully lined. That said, I would still wear nude underwear underneath these because I think any other colour would still be visible. It's just one of the issues that you can have with white, sort of slightly more sheer fabrics like linen. And I will link my favourite nude seamless underwear down below in the description box because they come in really handy when it comes to slightly more sheer fabrics like white linen. Now, I selected these shorts to try on because I've been getting a lot of requests from you guys, or people asking for my recommendations for slightly longer shorts, because I think we can all agree when summer hits, a lot of retailers bring out the short shorts, and not all of us want short shorts. It's for the kids. So these are the perfect sort of in-between length. They're not a Bermuda, they're not a short short, they're just a very nice flattering length that also feel a little bit more sophisticated and, dare I say, a little bit more elegant. Now, the good thing about a pair of tailored shorts, if like me, you do love your tailoring all year round, this is a really great sort of piece to have in terms of bottoms tailoring, a really great piece to have to integrate into your summer wardrobe because it gives you that hint of tailoring whilst also saying, hey, it's summer. Right, moving on to my next item, and it is my first accessory, and this is the raffia bag. This is the slightly smaller size. It does come in 2 sizes. The next size up from this is quite a large sort of beach baggy type size, but this one's a little bit better for day to day. Also comes in 2 different colours, so this sort of nice rich dark chocolatey brown and also more of that typical natural sort of lighter raffia colour, and this comes in at £85. Now, this is just a sort of classic sort of open tote style, so inside, as you can see, there is no sort of specific closure to the bag. It is an open bag. There's no zip, no popper or magnet or anything like that, but there is an internal zipped compartment, which is essentially just like a pocket, which is attached to the inside of the bag. There are some other leather areas inside the bag as well. The bottom panel, which sort of keeps the bag a little bit more structured, is all leather as well, which I think makes the bag a little bit better in terms of value for money. If we go back to the what's new in my wardrobe for summer video that I made a couple of weeks ago, I featured a brown raffia Zara bag, and I was a little bit disappointed in the fact that the trimmings weren't leather, and that bag was £69.99. So just in comparison, this one goes up to £85. And as I was saying in that video, I appreciate the fact when brands add a little bit more leather in there, just to give it a little bit more value for money. Right, my next item. So this is a knitted, I think it's called a circle hem dress. This comes in at £85 and it's available in 2 colours. So in terms of fabric composition, this is 60% viscose and 40% cotton. The fabric does have quite a weight to it, and as I mentioned earlier, it is like a very tight knitted fabric. It has this slinkiness to it and it does actually move quite beautifully, which I think is important when it comes to a dress that has this sort of oversized sack kind of feel and cut to it. I think it's really important to have that fluidness in the fabric to just give it a little bit of something extra. Now, as I've tried to do with everything that I've selected here today, and it is just my mantra in general, I've tried to pick items which are really, really versatile, which can be dressed up and dressed down. Now, I think this is a piece that could work really well as office wear or work wear, shall we say, as well throughout the summer months. It's definitely something that you could style to make appropriate for that kind of, can we call it occasion? For that kind of scene. But it's also something that you can dress down and wear in a more casual way. Right, next up, I have got the COS Classic t-shirt. This is an absolute go-to of mine, and you will have seen this t-shirt in several different colours in so much of my previous content. This is one of maybe 3 or 4 t-shirts, which I will always highly recommend for anyone that's just looking for a really good quality basic t-shirt. No bells and whistles, just a basic t-shirt. So COS bring this t-shirt out every season, even in autumn, winter, and they always have those sort of core classic colours, your black, your white, your grey. They're very good at doing a stripe as well, and they often have some nice colourful stripes for anyone that likes a bit of colour. And they will add seasonal colours depending on trends, because they do still follow some trends. They will bring out seasonal colours as well each season. So the price point of this t-shirt is £30, and I would say, I think from memory, that has been the sort of fixed price for at least the last 2 years. And it does actually say online that this is 290 GSM, which is the fabric weight. And that's one thing that I would like to just mention, and that in comparison to some t-shirts, this does feel a little bit thicker. I wouldn't go so far as to say thick, but it feels substantial. It feels like a really nice quality fabric and a nice quality t-shirt, which is why I think that these last so long. Right, moving on to my next item, and it is another pair of bottoms, this time trousers. So these are the elasticated waist cotton trousers. They come in at £65. They're available in 2 colours, white and black, as is always with COS. They're always their go-to colour options. And these are made from 96% cotton and then 4% elastane. So there is a little bit of stretch in the fabric. Now, as I've mentioned, it has an elasticated waist, so we've got that comfort factor ticked. They do give a more sort of casual aesthetic to them because that elasticated waistband goes all the way around, so there's none of that sort of tailored fit in the front. And then they have the drawstring waist as well. So you can alter the fit of these with them being a drawstring waist. You can have them a little bit tighter fitting and maybe move them up a little bit, or you can loosen them and have them slung lower on the hips. Now, the one thing that I will mention about this fabric, it feels almost like shirt fabric. So I have found that they do crease quite easily, in particular when you're sitting down. So whether you're going out to eat or sat at home having a cup of tea and then you get up, you will find that you've got those sort of whisker lines across the upper thigh area, and unfortunately they stay there until you wash them or until you steam them or iron them again. The fabric is also a little bit see-through, so these are another pair of trousers that you are going to need nude seamless underwear underneath. Of course, only in this colour, not necessarily in the black. Now, little sort of style details on these. They've got a single patch pocket on the back, on the bum, and at the bottom on the hem, or rather the hem, is quite a chunky hem. It's a good few inches. So it almost gives that look of having a turn up without actually having a turn up. Okay, next up, and it's dress time. We've got the pleated fluid maxi dress. I love the word fluid, and this fabric gives off all the fluid vibes. Now, this dress comes in at £95. It is only available in this colour, which is ochre. And the fabric is a linen and viscose blend. And I'm sure you'll be able to see here in the light on both my cameras and also in the cutaways, this fabric does have a little bit of a sheen to it. Not quite as shimmery and shiny as satin, but viscose can often have a little bit of shine to it. And that is very much what we can see in this beautiful dress. Now, despite having that little bit of shine to the fabric, I still think that this is a really good daytime dress, as well as something that, once again, you can dress up for more of like an evening occasion. It's a really good day to night dress, especially if maybe you're looking for a minimal amount of items to take on holiday. Perhaps you just want to style up differently with different accessories. That is something that would be very easy to do with this dress. In terms of fit, it's like a tent style, which basically means that it doesn't cling anywhere. So you have no tightness around the tummy area or around the legs. You've got a nice billowy movement as you walk, so there's no restrictions there. And if, again, like I was mentioning with the t-shirt dress, you have any tummy concerns, or maybe you just want that extra room to hit the buffet, this is a very good option. And I do think that this is the sort of dress you could get away with wearing a strapless bra underneath. So if you are someone that needs a bit of support, I will of course show details in the cutaways. I'll even wear it with a strapless bra for you guys to give an example. I think this is something that you can get away with wearing a strapless bra under. And then my favourite feature, it has pockets. I love a billowy dress like this, out of this sort of fabric, and especially when it has pockets. Next up is this cotton top, and this comes in at £75, which I think is a little bit expensive, but if you are a COS regular shopper, you're probably familiar with their sort of price structure by now. It probably won't surprise you, but for me, I don't think this is something I would buy for £75. As the name would suggest, it's denim, but it doesn't feel like your typical denim because it's actually cotton blended with tencel, which is lyocell. So it does have a little bit more of a softness to it, whilst also maintaining that very sort of structured denim feel, just not too stiff and starchy. Now it's more of like a tunic style, so it's not particularly fitted. However, you can sort of adjust desired fit by choosing the correct size. And it has this central sort of visible seam along the front and at the back. And then just to add a little bit more of like a more feminine touch to it, it has this slightly more sort of delicate tie detail at the back, which also creates a little bit of a keyhole detail. Now I think you can still get away with wearing a bra despite the fact that there is this keyhole detail at the back, because it doesn't veer down the back too far. I think you can sort of disguise your bra strap sort of underneath where that cut lies. I actually think that I like the style of this top. I'm just not so keen on the sort of denim element. I wish it were made of maybe something a little bit thinner, because it is quite a thick fabric, and I just feel like for me it would be a bit too structured. I'm also not really a fan of denim on anything other than jeans. I'm not really like a denim dress, denim jacket kind of person. I just have denim for my jeans. So I wouldn't necessarily pick this, but I think the style and shape and cut is, again, a really versatile and easy piece to wear if you are a fan of sort of other denim pieces of clothing. Right, next up is the linen wide leg trousers. These come in at £65. And they come in two colours. This beautiful brown, which is obvious why I've chosen that colour, and then completely rogue, but pink. And it's a very, well, it's pink. It's not my cup of tea, but each to their own. Now, as you will see, these do have an elasticated draw cord waist, which I think is the more popular waistband when it comes to linen trousers. Now they're called linen trousers, but they are actually a linen and cotton blend. Now the addition of the cotton blended in with the linen just gives the fabric a little bit more softness. So linen can sometimes feel a little bit scratchy and a little bit coarse, especially if it hasn't been pre-washed many times before actually manufacturing the garment. So adding that cotton in there just makes them feel a little bit softer. And these do, in comparison to 100% linen, these definitely feel much softer. Now these have quite a wide leg. I'm obviously a big fan of an elasticated waist wide leg linen trouser. I just think they're a really valuable piece to have in your wardrobe. They're the sort of thing that I get a lot of wear out of come the summer months, because I'll wear them at home whilst just working. I'll throw them on to go to the cinema. In fact, I did that last night. I put them on with a cashmere jumper to go to the cinema last night. I will wear them food shopping, running errands, whatever it may be. They're just a really good, easy throw on piece to have. And they're versatile, so you can mix and match them and style them with pretty much anything, especially basics, which is why I like them so much. And finally, I am ending with the Pinch tote bag, and this comes in at £139, which I know is a little bit pricey, but I think this is an absolutely beautiful bag. It's also huge. Look at the size of it, and it's quite boxy because it has some structured leather on the bottom, which I'll get to in a moment. Now, I think having a natural sort of texture bag like this that is not raffia or basket, straw, any of those kind of things, I think is a really nice, slightly more sophisticated option that still gives summer vibes. So this one isn't canvas, this one's actually made out of 100% linen, bar all of the genuine leather trim, which I think goes to justify the price a little bit more. And so this has more of a premium feel to it. And I think that's one other thing that COS does very well. If you don't have the budget, or if like me, buying designer things just isn't a priority for you, but you still want maybe the look and definitely some of the quality, then COS is definitely a brand for you, because they can create these this for me looks very the row, the knots, or the row or Celine, the knots, the fabric, just the overall design of the bag. They've got that nailed. And then where you've got this sort of pinched style, which basically is like someone has pinched the bag in at the bottom, which gives it this slightly unusual shape in comparison to any other basic tote bag, we have a full leather bottom, which is good because you wouldn't want this beautiful, slightly more delicate linen on the bottom of the bag, because it's going to get dirty and probably damaged quite quickly. Which leads me on to the fact that you are going to want to protector spray this bag and be very, very careful if you are wearing this with any kind of denim, because I'm just going to pop it on my shoulder and you'll see this in the cutaways. It is literally at this sort of hip height, so it's going to be rubbing on any denim, and you will get denim transfer on this fabric. That is 100% a given. So you're going to want to protect this and just be a bit wary when you're wearing with denim. Right, there we go. We've come to the end of the rail and the end of the COS try on. If you've got a favourite piece, let me know down in the comments below. Alternatively, if you've bought something recently from COS that I did not feature in today's video and you just want to rave about it, also let me know down in the comments, because I always listen and I always check up on the recommendations from you guys. They are greatly appreciated. But for now, that is it from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.